in Blooming on Thursday Night Football, facing off against the Chiefs after winning the Super Bowl versus Philadelphia. A Super Bowl that came down to one possession. Basically, the Jalen Hurts fumble determined that game. And then when I found out that Lions and Chiefs was opening night on Thursday Night Football after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, all the hype with the Lions. We were on the hype train since Hard Knocks. We were early on the Dan Campbell train when everyone was calling him a lunatic. I had his back. I was a Dan Campbell fan. It was one of our first major talking points on the show was our belief in the coach that is Dan Campbell. And then you kind of have all of this media hype now in the offseason, hyping up the Lions coming into this game. And then you have the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl. Don't hear the talk we heard from Travis Kelce in the offseason last year. Don't hear the talk from Patrick Mahomes. So they're kind of quietly coming into the season as the casual Super Bowl favorites. So what are you expecting to see from this game?
So there's a lot of things to unpack here. First things first, let's talk about the offseason. We talked about it in the recap as far as what the Lions did, addressing their needs on defense, CJ Gardner-Johnson, drafting Jack Campbell, things of that nature. Here's what I see in this game. First of all, their spread here is 6.5, and 80% of the money is on the Chiefs. And usually, when the money is disproportionate to one side, usually means the underdogs are going to win this game. I would pick the Lions to cover this game. And I also know the last time that Jared Goff ran into Patrick Mahomes, we had one of the greatest regular season games of all time in Mexico City. On top of that, we have Dan Campbell as Coach of the Year favorite. You have Ben Johnson, who could have coached anywhere else with these opening hires. He said, no, I'm coming back to Detroit. And then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown projected to have 200 targets. You have Jared Goff in the MVP odds favorites.
Yeah.
And then on top of this all, we have a franchise that's been battered down for the last 60 years. We're talking about a team as cursed as the Chicago Cubs were in baseball, the Red Sox. And what did they do? The years that they won, they overcame obstacles.
Yeah.
The Red Sox coming back against their rival opponent, the New York Yankees, coming down from 3-0. And before then, overcoming different slumps and different obstacles that season to overcome the curse. And this is their first obstacle in overcoming their curse, taking on the Super Bowl champions. This is a game where if they can hit the ground running and win this game, it'll be the first of many obstacles in this season to ultimately overcome all the trauma that they've endured.
What's your sentiment here on Super Bowl teams coming into this Thursday Night Football game? It can go either way, but last year we saw the Bills go out there and demolish the Rams. Year before, I don't remember what game it is, but like Super Bowl favorite coming into this game, I think is a really important thing to note. In week one is the week where you can kind of take your foot off the gas. Do you think this is a game where we're kind of just getting our feet wet, or do you think the Chiefs will be motivated to get up for the Lions?
I think it's the Chiefs, so I'm never going to discount them. However, I look at the two teams. I'll compare it to last year's Thursday night. We had the Bills and the Rams. One of them won the Super Bowl. The other one had the 13-second debacle. And the Bills were ready to go out running. And what happened to this year? The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And then the Lions, they won 8 straight games, beating their Packers. And in the offseason, making a bunch of moves. They're excited. They're ready to rip the heads off of their opponents. So I think, even though I think the Chiefs will still be just fine regular season-wise, this is a game where I can see the Chiefs maybe coming out flat and the Lions coming out ready to kill.
Yeah, for me, this is a game where you talked about it perfectly, which is a perfect segment into what I'm going to say here is you have to look at how a team finished last year and what their expectations are coming into this season. And for the Lions, winning those 8 straight games and then knocking off the Packers, sending Aaron Rodgers packing out of the division. First time in his career he lost to Detroit, not once, but twice. First time ever it had ever happened. So for me, this is a Dan Campbell speech game where he's like, if we want to change, we won 8 straight games. We sent Aaron Rodgers packing out of the division last year. So we're going to come up, and if we beat the Chiefs in week 1, we started off slow last year. Let's not make the same mistake this year. It's going to be chills down your spine. Everyone's going to be going crazy. Like when we had that clip of Dan Campbell giving the speech and the guy's just like, yeah, we're going to go out there. We're going to go rip some heads off. I'm ready to go out here and bite a kneecap. Ben Johnson and Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown think they're going to be ready to go in this game. You mentioned it last time Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff faced off. It was the greatest regular season game ever. 54-51. Are you kidding me? In Mexico City. So I think this game is going to be fireworks, but I think ultimately the Lions have more to prove. I think the Chiefs don't mind losing this game, especially at home. And for me, the Chiefs are a team. Their defense always starts out the year a little bit slow. And I think Patrick Mahomes trying to get those new receivers involved here, it's going to be a little bit of a slower progression. And I think Andy Reid isn't going to be as willing to open up the playbook against this Lions team that he normally would be able to against like the Bills or Bengals to beat them in the regular season. And I think that's going to be the key here, where Dan Campbell is going to be like, we need to go all in, chips to the front of the table, because if we have a statement classic 34-31 type of game where we last second drive, Jared Goff leads us down the field, or we come out and then come out gangbusters and rumble the Chiefs, I think that'll have a ripple effect across the NFL.
Absolutely. And I think with the Lions, with a team like this, we talked about, how they are a cursed franchise. They've had a lot of heartbreak. There's something in the air here. And as a Red Sox fan, I could speak on this. In 2004, when the Red Sox were, geared up for that championship run, something felt different in the air. I don't know what it was, whether they had rituals at Fenway Park, something felt different. Same thing goes for the 2016 Cubs. Something about this Lions team just feels different. There's something in the air, whether it's the optimism in Detroit, whether it's Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, you get the idea. Something feels different here. And they could prove that on Thursday night by going out here and beating the Chiefs. What do you think the outcome will be?
I think outcome will be pretty close game, but Lions are able to pull away. I'm actually going to go 34-28 here. And I think the Lions are going to have that extra juice in the second half to really take over the game. But I think it's going to be tough, and the Lions are going to be a little overamped to start the game. And then once they settle into it, I think they'll be able to take control.